Hi there. I'm Emily Mitchell, and I want to tell you about my unforgettable first day as a tour guide in New York's Central Park. I remember standing by the beautiful Bethesda fountain that morning, my heart racing with excitement. Okay, maybe it was more like nervousness. The morning sun was perfect, creating magical sparkles on the water behind me. You know what's funny? Just 3 months before that day, I was just another college graduate with a tourism degree and big dreams. There I was, ready to guide visitors through one of the world's most famous parks. They say Central Park sees about 42 million visitors every year, and I was about to meet my first group. I had memorized all the routes, practiced my speeches, and learned fun facts about every landmark. But those butterflies in my stomach wouldn't go away. Then I saw them, my first group of tourists approaching the fountain. As the group of 5 tourists approached, I took a deep breath and put on my best smile. They were a family from Chicago, parents with 3 teenagers, looking for directions to Belvedere Castle. That was when my first real challenge began. "Excuse me," the father said, unfolding a wrinkled park map. "We've been walking in circles for 20 minutes. Could you help us find the castle?" This was my moment. "From here, we'll need to head north along the mall." I pointed toward the tree-lined pathway. "Then we'll turn right at the lake, follow the path uphill, and the castle will be on your left. It's about a 15-minute walk." The mother looked relieved, but the teenagers seemed skeptical. "Would you like me to show you the way?" I offered, seeing an opportunity to put my knowledge to use. To my surprise and delight, they all nodded enthusiastically. The youngest teenager, Sarah, who had been dragging her feet earlier, suddenly came alive at the sight of rowboats gliding across the water. "Can we do that?" she asked her parents, her previous skepticism completely forgotten. Her brothers, Mike and Tom, finally looked up from their phones, drawn in by their sister's enthusiasm. "The Low Boathouse is actually one of our most popular attractions," I explained, feeling more confident with each step. "That's the Boathouse restaurant where you can enjoy lunch with a beautiful view of the lake. They serve everything from simple sandwiches to gourmet meals." The family paused to watch a young couple awkwardly navigate their rowboat, everyone laughing when they started going in circles. "That's more common than you'd think," I shared, remembering my own first attempt at rowing. The crisp autumn air carried the sound of distant laughter and splashing oars, mixed with the calls of ducks gliding peacefully across the water. In the summer, you can sometimes see dozens of them on those rocks. Mrs. Anderson, the mother, was particularly interested in the birds. "Is that a heron?" she asked, pointing to a tall, elegant bird standing motionless at the water's edge. I nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, that's a great blue heron. We have quite a few of them here." The 2 teenage boys, who had seemed so disinterested at first, "The castle is just up ahead," I said, pointing to where the path began to slope upward. "And speaking of great photos, wait until you see the view from up there. On a clear day like this, you can see all the way to the Great Lawn and beyond." Did you know the castle was originally built in 1869 as a Victorian folly? That means it was designed to be just a beautiful landmark, but they ended up using it as the city's first weather station. As we started our ascent, I could feel the family's excitement building. The initially simple request for directions had turned into something much more meaningful, their first real adventure in Central Park, and I was lucky enough to be their guide. On our way up to the castle, we passed by strawberry fields, and I couldn't resist making a quick stop. The afternoon sun filtered through the elm trees, casting dappled shadows on the iconic black and white mosaic beneath our feet. "This is one of the park's most special places," I explained, gesturing to the circular design. Mike and Tom, the teenagers who had been so reluctant at first, were now completely engaged. "Did John Lennon really live right there?" "Yes, that's exactly right," I nodded, pleased by their interest. "He used to take walks here almost every day, especially in this area. That's why, after his passing in 1980, Yoko Ono worked with the city to create this peaceful space in his memory." Sarah, who had been quietly taking everything in, found a flower someone had left earlier and carefully placed it on the edge of the mosaic. "People from all over the world come here to leave flowers, play music, and pay their respects," I explained. The mosaic was actually created by artists from Naples, Italy, and the word "imagine" is written in the center, inspired by what many consider Lennon's most powerful song. Mr. Anderson, who had been unusually quiet, spoke up. "I remember when it happened," he said softly, looking at the Dakota. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, carrying the last notes of "Imagine" across the memorial. I watched as Mike pulled out his phone, but this time it wasn't for social media. Instead, he searched for John Lennon Central Park and began reading about the memorial's history. "The name Strawberry Fields comes from a Beatles song, right?" Sarah asked, surprising everyone with her question. It was also the name of a Salvation Army children's home in Liverpool where Lennon used to play as a child. And visitors come here from every corner of the globe to connect with Lennon's message of peace and love. As we prepared to continue our journey to the castle, the musicians started playing "Let It Be," and Mrs. Anderson wiped a tear from her eye. What had started as a simple tour was becoming something much more meaningful, a shared experience of history. She asked excitedly. "Welcome to the Central Park Zoo," I announced with a flourish. "While we can't do a full tour today, I can tell you some fascinating stories about this place. Did you know this is one of the oldest zoos in North America? It started in the 1860s when people began giving their exotic pets to the park. The charismatic creatures were performing their natural acrobatics, spinning and diving as a zookeeper tossed fish their way. "Those are our local celebrities," I explained. "They've been featured in countless New York movies and TV shows." Mike pulled out his phone again, this time to capture a particularly impressive flip from one of the sea lions. "The zoo looks smaller than I expected," Tom observed, trying to peer over the decorative walls. "Look up there. They help keep the local pigeon population in check." The family was particularly amused by the penguin house visible from our spot. Mr. Anderson checked his watch, reminding us of our original destination. "The castle's just ahead," I assured them, "but I have one last zoo fact for you. During the Great Depression, this zoo became incredibly popular because it was free entertainment. People would come here to forget their troubles for a while, watching the animals and enjoying the park." Sarah giggled, and even the teenage boys couldn't suppress their smiles. The zoo might not have been our intended stop, but it had added another layer of magic to our morning adventure. Besides, I thought to myself, the best tours are always the ones that leave you wanting to come back for more. Finally reaching the path to Belvedere Castle, we encountered our biggest challenge of the morning. A large group of international students had gathered at the base of the hill. Their teacher spotted us and quickly approached, hope written across her face. "Excuse me," she called out in accented English. "We're looking for the castle, but our GPS keeps sending us in circles." Behind her, at least 20 teenagers from various countries chatted excitedly in a mix of languages. I glanced at the Anderson family, who nodded encouragingly. They seemed to understand this was part of my job. "We're actually heading there right now," I replied with newfound confidence. The teacher's relief was palpable as she gathered her students. What had started as a simple family tour had suddenly doubled in size and complexity. As we ascended the hill, I found myself naturally falling into a rhythm, pointing out landmarks visible through the trees. On summer weekends, it's filled with people playing baseball, having picnics, or just soaking up the sun. The international students mixed with the Anderson teenagers, sharing Instagram handles and comparing photos from their morning adventures. I overheard Sarah practicing her Spanish with a girl from Madrid. "Welcome to Belvedere Castle," I announced to my expanded tour group. In Italian, Belvedere means beautiful view, and I think you can see why. The students scattered to various viewing points, cameras clicking rapidly, while Mrs. Anderson touched my arm gently. "You know," she said, "when we stopped you at the fountain this morning, we just wanted directions. But this turned out to be so much more than that. Thank you for making our morning special." My first day as a tour guide had thrown unexpected challenges my way, but somehow each one had turned into an opportunity to create something magical. As I watched the mixed group of teenagers taking a selfie with the Manhattan skyline behind them, I knew I had found my calling. This wasn't just about giving directions or sharing facts. It was about creating connections, one tour at a time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more stories in English and lessons. Click the bell icon to be notified when we post new videos. Your support means a lot to us. See you next time.